well, thank you for your patience during that performance. We were just screwing around my friend Dean's garage last winter, and so there was a little bit of a clam there in the intro. Same performance as the brown sugar, if you've checked out that lesson. So of course what we're going to look at today is Fortunate Son, Creedence classic, and it's got a very simple chord progression and also another beautiful illustration of John Fogerty using those movable sliding chord shapes to form some really neat lead lines. I'm going to be showing you the chord progression, the intro, and a little bit of the lead break. I'm going to show you the chord progression first. It's real simple. Key of G. Note that on the original, Fogerty is tuning down a full step. So he's playing it using what we would see as an A chord for the 1. But if you play along to the record in standard tuning, it'll be in the key of G, which is what I'm going to show you. So, chord progression: G, F, C, G for the verse. And of course you could play those chords open position, but this is a song that really begs for chunking on some bar chords. Okay, so that's the verse. The chorus: G, that pretty much couldn't be simpler. The intro is over a thrumming bass line of just the G note and the drums. So he's playing over a G chord, so he's going to start with bits of a G chord. First show you the way that I did it in the performance. Fogerty may play it the second way I'm going to show you, because again he's tuning down a half step. But either way, it works. This is going to be showing you again in G, which is the key of the recording. Starting with your movable C shape. There's your C chord in the first position. Move it up to the 8th fret, where it would be, where you would find your G, and he's playing a G riff over a G chord. Slide up to that note on the 4th string, 9th fret, play that with your middle finger, index finger on the 8th fret, 2nd string. Again, just take that C shape, visualize it, move it up, it's the exact same thing, okay? Now what was the second chord in our chord progression? It was an F. So he's going to go down a step to the F. Okay, a whole step to the F. Keeping that movable C shape from a G to an F. So you're on the 9th and 8th frets, going down to the 7th and 6th frets. Third chord in the verse progression. So now we're going to switch our movable chord shape. He's going to go from a C movable chord shape to an A movable chord shape. In our first position, A chord, if we were going to play it with all our fingers like that, well, you take the second and 4th strings, move it up to the 5th fret. That's your C chord, right? That's your A, movable A version of the C chord. So again, G, F, C, and what's the last chord in the progression? Back to our 1, back to the G. Well, you're here, you're right here going like this. What's your closest G? There it is. It's the movable E version. Some people call it the F shape. It's easier to visualize when you're fretting all the notes instead of playing some open. But whatever whatever you want to call it, it's this form, and so you're already here going, so to play it as a G, it would be like that. So the note on the 4th string, 5th fret is the same. It's that G note, which was part of our C chord. Now we're playing it as the root of our G chord. So for those last two, you're just moving from the 5th fret on the 2nd string to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. So one more time. G, F, C, G. And he plays it twice. I usually pick it, but right, the one little piece of the intro I did not play when I was jamming with my friend is in between the 1st and 2nd times Fogerty does that descending intro riff. He plays this little lick going from the B flat, 5th string 1st fret to the G 6th string 3rd fret. Alright? Alright, now here's the second way you can play the intro. And again, more likely this is the way that Fogerty plays the first two parts of it. But if we're doing it in standard tuning, we want a G, which is why we came up here. But as I've shown you in other lessons, those sliding 6 can be played on the 1st and 3rd strings exactly the same way as they can be played on the 2nd and 4th strings. So if we want our G on the 1st and 3rd strings, we'd come down here. Hear how that's got a little bit more of a twang to it, and that's really what you hear on the original recording. So again, I think this is how he's playing it. He's probably playing it here because he's tuned down half a step, but for in standard tuning you're going to want to go, there's our G. And of course, this time it's not the movable C shape, it's the movable E or F shape. Second chord, of course, is an F still. So, the same exact notes as, but as you can hear, it gives it more snap on the higher strings. Where do we go from here? We're out of fretboard. We can't go down any further. Well, you just go back to the same ones we played. So take your pick. They're the same notes. It's really, it's good to know that both ways, because again, it helps with your whole visualizing the fretboard, knowing these movable chords, and knowing how to play the same notes in 2 or 3 or 4 different places, because again, that spices up your playing. So the lead break try to talk about the theory behind this lead break, why it works, why he's doing what he's doing. What he's doing there, you might look at this and think, okay, what movable chord is that? It's not an A, you know, it's not a C shape, it's not the... Okay, and that's because it isn't any of the major movable chord shapes. It's part of a movable 7th shape. And what you're looking at there is part of a movable G7. That middle lead break is over the thrumming G bass line, just like the intro. So of course he's playing stuff in the mode of a G. Remember how you are in the first position, you can play a D chord like that and shift it here to make it a D7, just going from the D note to the C note on that 2nd string, from the root to the 7th. So what Fogerty is doing there is actually something that is a really common lick in country blues, going way back to acoustic country blues. If you're playing over a G chord, you can go... etc., right? So what he's doing is actually playing a little country blues sort of lick, hitting 2 notes out of that G7, which has all this tremendous tension to it, right? That's a wonderful lick, and then just stepping it down. Again, it's just part of that country blues lick, and then these two, the first position one and the third position ones, are part of our movable major chord shape, the F and the G. So it sort of starts out as that country blues sort of tension riff, and then just goes to a standard F to G resolution. So it's a really cool lick. You'll hear all kinds of blues people play that sort of thing. Johnny Winter is the one that comes to mind that lives on this shape. So it's a good one to know. Hopefully we'll get a little bit more into that as the lessons progress, but we've mostly been talking about the movable major shapes. This is just a slight wrinkle to that, because it's taking your movable major D shape and just making it a 7. So that's Fortunate Son. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks once again for joining me. Take care.